The University of Texas is no longer buying books, it's making sure that everything that people read there is digitally available. Now, I like books, I like the way books feel and smell. You know, a well-printed book on decent paper with nice typography, there is something very, very unusual about that which you can't replace. But the sheer convenience of a Kindle. My wife and I were in Western China. In the middle of the desert, the temperature was 51. We were about 50 kilometers from the nearest person. Up on the hill was a communications tower, and my wife said, I need some books for tonight. She fired up the Kindle and was downloading them from Amazon in the middle of Western China. All right? Each book took about a minute, and they charged you about $9 or something. It's going to change the way we read, what we read, how we read, and the way we think about it. I hope that there will still be libraries with books in them. But libraries are becoming places where people meet and create and share things, not a place where you go to suck up knowledge that someone else has done. Right? At the State Library, reference section used to be a floor. It is now 2 lines of shelves and 38 librarians with iPads walking around advising people as they go. And they have become, I love this phrase, information curators. Right? A curator is someone who takes care of an exhibition, who chooses the stuff, who presents it, and who makes sure that it stays beautifully visible. We are going to need a big generation of information curators, because at the moment we are being buried in information. There's so much to read and we can't do it. We don't know what's good. We waste time reading garbage. So the information curators will be, I mean, if you have children who are looking for a profession, this is a good one. It's going to be huge. So,
Roly, we just need to manage the questions a little bit. Judy has had a hand up for a while, and there are 2 down that end. Then we might move to a vote of thanks. But Judy first, Caroline, and Brenda at the end.
If you're going to have huge numbers of people doing MOOCs instead of lectures, and you normally have sort of 120 people in a lecture and 20,000 people doing the course otherwise, how do you monitor the quality of the work that's being done by those people?
I think the courses are broken up into smaller chunks and they have quizzes. And you take the quiz to see whether you've mastered that little bit, and then you go on to the next bit. So that it's incrementally checking your own progress. I still think that there is an enormous role for someone who is saying, okay, at the end of this course, we want you to write a 5,000 word piece on how all of this comes together and makes sense. And that's still going to need a human marker, right? And someone who's going to provide really good quality feedback so that people can learn from it. So that this has got a sting in the tail, and there are lots of things which we haven't thought through yet. It will still be positive now.
Caroline?
Pass that down.
You segued into what I was going to ask about or comment on well. I think it's then the value add that teachers and learners can still provide on top of the MOOCs that are really going to be the way forward. And that's also the work that I'm heavily involved in as an academic developer and working much with the learners and the new teachers coming into university. It's about how we change that system and how we provide an experience that makes the most of active learning for all of those learners for their future, whatever way they're going to learn, as they're going to be going into jobs that we don't know about yet. And I think that's the emphasis. The other question, and I'd like you to comment on this one as well, it's a new way of starting businesses. I was yesterday at a TEDx forum in Gympie, and TEDx is all about new ideas and new innovation and new ways of doing things. And like Roly's commented on, Kickstarter.com is a way of starting businesses and of getting people interested in the business for start-up capital into a business. Rather than going out and getting that money before the business can start, it gets people literally to pledge their money that they buy something as that new product or that new company might have, so it has enough people to start the company up. And I think the other term that I'm sure you can add to these is around crowdsourcing. So much will come from crowdsourcing, as you commented on in the way of journalism. And it's what Mark, my son's involved in. He's helping distribute or represent the data that Roly's talking about that's collected from, say, groups like bird watchers, where they collect both where the birds and the flora or fauna are, and the noises and the sounds and the representation of all of the animals, and then that can be used, as Roly's commenting, by many other researchers in different ways. And that's changing a whole twist on what he might have been doing as a traditional IT job, for those of you who know Mark. So there's a whole future out there that, you know, our children and our grandchildren are definitely going to be moving into, and new ways of teaching and learning are going to be part of that. But I think it is around that value add that people who are in the teaching and learning roles, and no doubt you're going to have to morph into a different kind of meddler in the middle is the other term a bit. Rather than the sage on the stage or a guide on the side, it's the meddler in the middle, and you're helping that learner in various ways to make the most of the MOOC or however they're gaining that information.
I can't do better than that.
We might just, right at the end, then Michael, and then we'll have to look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, Margaret and I were just wondering, as employees in the IT industry, how we can know that that person who reached ACE certification through MOOC was the actual person who did the course. Because often with remote learning, you don't ever have to face up to the institution, and somehow there needs to be a connection with that. In that certification process, there needs to be an identification process.
Yeah, great point, and this is one which they're only just starting to look at. I don't know how to fix it. I would expect that there may well be certification bureau which will try and make sure that this person who attains that qualification does in fact have that expertise. But there are unfortunately ways in which this stuff can be perverted, and we've got to invent a suitable way of backstopping it.
As an employer, I mean, sure, you'll employ the person. They'll fail very quickly. It's obvious they don't have those skills.
Yeah.
However, you've just wasted a whole process.
Yes.
In the interview selection process, grabbing that person, then wasting the time and training.